Okay, hello. This is another tutorial. We're gonna do hair. We're gonna create curves out of hair. So we're gonna understand hair systems, how to extract the curves out of the paint effects that we do with the hair, and just make the hair be an emitter itself, and do things with a particle system that we create. Okay, let's start. Plane. Make it bigger. Okay, and I'm gonna select it, go to hair, which is in dynamics in the top tab, and say create hair. After selecting the object, paint effect 6 by 6 is basically the number of hairs by the number of hairs that we're gonna create in a grid matter, and the length, or 7 or 8 or oops, I don't know what happened. Okay, wait. Yeah, sorry. I pressed 8 without being here. There we go. Let's press the length 8. Say create hair. We can change the other factors. Let me do it again because I didn't select the object. Create hair. There we go. Have our hair. We can select the hair. We're going to be able to change many factors here in the hair system, shape 1 or nucleus, such as gravity, etc, etc. So it's not going to do anything now. Let's change the frames to 500. If I play it, the hair is pretty much vertical. I know it sounds weird that it doesn't have strength, but it does in Maya. So we have to probably apply in this hair system shape 1 a little bit of turbulence if we want to see anything happen. As long as the hair is vertical. If our landscape, let's say, our plane was irregular, the hair would have fallen from gravity, So with turbulence, as I did, play it, it's gonna behave as hair. Okay. Things nucleus. If we change gravity, it's not gonna have that gravity. Still, it's gonna bend down because it has properties of a hair. Air density, we can put a wind or something, and ground plane you can use the plane and they will hit the plane. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. See, there's no gravity, so it's just doing its thing. Turbulence applied. Okay, let's go back to the shape, to the top, select, and display little by little some of the features. Hairs per clump. If we change that to 1, you see how from each clump, which is the red little guys, it creates a number of lines, curves, hairs. So the width measures the distance where that area of a circle that generates the curves is. So I'm going to play with 1. I'm going to reduce this to 0, so it's in the center. If we play this and we check it out, the curve is actually not precise or smooth or however you want to call it. It's due to the sub segments. Now if you increase that, you can see also as you play that it plays more smoothly and nice. So that's good. We have explained that section. Let's go a little bit to collision. If we press collide, this means they're going to collide between each other. In what way? Sometimes in the beginning it's good to see the collision thickness here, which is this. It creates a cylinder for each hair with the dimensions set here. Sometimes you just have to play this. Yeah, you can change that width, and they're hitting or colliding between each other according to that measurement. That's why if we put it big, they're gonna be try to move away from each other. Simple, which could be nice. I'm gonna put it very small because I really want them to somehow engage with each other in other ways. I'm gonna turn off this. I'm gonna say bounce a little bit and friction as it is. The stickiness is how the hairs try to stick themselves together once they touch, and the clank, it's, as you can see, is more of an attraction fill, I can stop at some place and see the curves. By the way, I like this one now. So I'm gonna keep on playing this. We have stretch capacity, so we can actually press the stretch resistance and reduce the scale, so it goes down and it goes up, and you can have resistance to stretch. You can control many things out of this, no? There we go. Let's put it back to where it was because I kind of liked it. Huh. Let me see exactly. There we go. As it goes up. Come on up. These are interesting proposals as well that we can explore depending on how they stretch. This is very nice. This is thickness as well, remember. Other thing is important, start curve attract. This relates to how much they attract to the original stage. So the higher, the closer to the original stage, and the lower, the more the other factors do their job. No? So it could be bouncing or just nothing. I'm not interested in having much now, so it's fine. Okay, so this is a world of placing different criteria until you get the curve that you want, no? Let me see if I can increment the clink a little bit. So we have interesting curves. I like this one. By the way, you can always select one of them individually by going to the outliner and expanding this one and go to the folly that you're interested, and you will be able to select it individually. But we're not in that mode right now if you're more picky about one of them. So the next step is taking this curves and somehow create this paint effect, because it's a paint effect. We want to create curves, nerves curves out of that. So I'm extracting these ones because I'm going to use it several times, and I'm going to press paint effects to curves. Good. We're gonna, let me minimize this. We have created these curves. We press W and we move them. They still have an attached history. So if I play this, the curves, the nerves curves plus the paint effect will be dynamically moving, which could be an interesting thing to keep testing, and then using these curves for what we're going to do afterwards. For my purpose, you guys should save as always and do another exploration, save as another exploration 1,000 times. For my purpose, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to use these curves and now start the process of how to do the meshing. First of all, select. I'm going to delete by type history, so it doesn't have any dynamism. I'm going to select the curves also and take them out with the middle button, dragging out, and just deleting this stuff, which I don't really care much. Okay, we have curves, and that's it. We're going to do a simple thing that we have done other times. End dynamics, end mesh, end particles, creating particles, and emit from object. Say curve 50 for now, but depends on your scale. You might want to go back to that option and change it. Creates a number of particle systems, and we're gonna just play it and see what happens. Okay, as you can see, it creates particles from the curve. Because we haven't changed well, there's actually gravity, funny. We should take down the gravity to 0, and also the wind, we shouldn't want any wind, etc., etc. So yeah, that's the thing. As you play it, I don't know if you see it in pink, creates this particles along the curve in a random situation, and in any point we can just stop it and go down, select the particles only, and play with these particles. We can also select the curves, Control H, so we don't see it, we only see the particles. No? So this, in different ways, we could have created a specific dynamism between the particles, so it has more of a volume criteria, but with this we can do mesh extractions. So let's see how we do it. We can, oh, by the way, this is a point of particles, so obviously we can create any kind of geometry and select the particles and create our instancers, no? Obviously 5, so that could be our instancers in a very interesting way, but that's not my point here. But you know that from this point on you can do all these expression criteria for the instance or for the particles, etc. So I'm going to delete the instance, I'm not in that step. It's a good time to save as well. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to risk myself, I like to do that. And I'm going to select the particles, and we have to go to the particle shape one there, or we can select it down here in order to change the output mesh, which is somewhere here in the middle. These numbers we have to change until we get a mesh that we're interested in. By default, if we select this one and say end particles to polygons, it will create something. It could be good or not. Normally it's not that successful. But we see that creates a mesh in relation to the curves. No? Control C every time we want to go back. Select and change numbers. Let's say 0. I'm going to say quad mesh. I'm going to say iterations 3. And I'm going to say size 2.5. And the radius much smaller, as we saw before. And see what happens. And particles. Now often doesn't show anything and you'll be frustrated. It's just a matter of recombining the numbers until you get something interesting. Okay, so let's go back. That's too big, so probably we need to go to 3 or even 2. Let's see if we can increment the resolution. And particles too, not much happened there. Scale 1 and size 1. Let's see if it does it. There we go. Start having something interesting here. So that's good. Particularly satisfied with this one. So, but you should keep on changing the factors, the numbers within the particle and mesh options. And the way to go now is simply selecting your mesh once you're happy with your 15th iteration and delete by type history. So you have your object here that you can play with. The normal thing is to make sure there's only one mesh, so I'll go to polygons, separate. That means that if we have several options, you might want this one to create other type of geometry, but I'm going to stick with a big fellow. And from this point on, it's a matter of testing it for 3D printing. Normalize the vectors, the normals of the faces. You can do things such as, by the way, this is a mesh, so you can smooth it. I don't know if I want to risk it by pressing 3. Or you can also, what I like to do is select the meshes, all of them, and for example in edit mesh, average vertices, and what it does is kind of concentrates the vertices in an average position, so it's a cleaner geometry. You also have in normals, you can say average normals here, which is very similar to other like Rhino. So you can do pretty much many things here and take it to Rhino afterwards. Okay, so this is your 3D option here. I'm gonna try to say 3. If it stops here afterwards, it's because it crashes and just goodbye. but let's see, don't ask again. It's gonna think, and I don't know if it crashed. Anyway, if you're I could have smoothed it as well to create more surface, but I don't think this is what I should have done. So I'm gonna say goodbye there. Oh, he did it. He did it, and we have this very nice. This is the same as smoothing it. So we could have smoothed it out, making interesting branching systems that it's very difficult to do otherwise. But using our curve systems, no, from the hair. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. Hope to see some of these interesting models someday from you guys. Okay, done.